and gentlemen, turn your speakers up. It's time for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the hub city in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. And your co-host, hailing from the valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi. And joining me this evening is the man that still has his microphone muted. He is the full-time part-timer. It is Ian Garavaglia. Ian, what's up, dog?
What's up, dog? Yeah, we got a little bit of wrestling going on this week. We are not only going to recap what has been happening in the wrestling world, but we're also going to be talking about an event that we are both going to in person. It's not like we haven't advertised this for a long time now, but Steve from Pro Wrestling Ventures is joining us, and I am so excited because he is genuinely one of my favorite people to talk to in professional wrestling.
Yeah, we talked a little bit pre-show. We're always excited to talk with Steve and just to vibe with the Pro Wrestling Ventures. There we go. I'll get it out. Pro Wrestling Ventures. I'm used to saying Warrior Wrestling, but they're now known as Pro Wrestling Ventures. They're always a joy to hang out with, interact with, and just spend some quality time talking graps. But as Chris Hoop says, the podcast dad's in the chat, he said we are natty bound tomorrow. Yes, we are headed to Cincinnati to hang out with the wrestling junkies, and look who's in the chat as well. The Great Brown Hope saying, we out you. Of course we out you. We're out here every Thursday, right, Ian? But sometimes the start varies, like tonight. But I think it's warranted for this start time tonight.
Uh-oh.
What happened? What is he uh-ohing about? Everything's good on my end, brother. I think something's wrong with
I think
Ian's
we're back.
stream.
The internet was going...
Your internet was going on.
hear me?
I was still here. I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That was brutal. Okay, we are back. But yes, still live every single Thursday. The full-time, part-timer, quite full-time right now, but I am happy to be full-time right now.
Yeah, so if you didn't realize this, we do have a third co-host. His name is Jim Tucker, but once again, still in baseball season, but he will be back shortly, and we will be talking wrestling with him, of course. But before we get into Backlash, because that is happening, this Saturday we got another PLE. It seems like just last weekend was WrestleMania, doesn't it, Ian? Like, it's pretty crazy.
It's nice with the mixture of WWE and AEW. I mean, is it Double or Nothing?
Double or Nothing, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up next week, I believe. Insane. But yeah, I didn't know it was a Saturday PLE. That's good news, I think.
Makes it better.
Yeah. I like that.
I think we like Saturday PLEs because then it gives you... Yeah, a night to enjoy yourself and not have to worry about waking up the next morning. But hey, guys, if you want to help us keep the lights on here at OTM, the best way to do so is checking out all the great merchandise that we have to offer at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. No promo code this week, even though I probably should have one. That's okay. We'll get one for you guys next week. But you can't get this new NXT Night Shift windbreaker, unfortunately, on that website. But you can get the OTM tapestry, OTM coffee mug. We got that hat that Ian's wearing right there.
This one right here, yeah. It's very comfortable, and it's adjustable in the back. Snapback hat, for those that are in the know. Big hat guy over here.
I am too, hence the noggin. But you'll be wearing that hat, I'm assuming, tomorrow.
I will be, yes, correct.
Let's go. And if you want to keep up with us on all the socials, guys, make sure you're following us and show some love to all the cool shit happening with the Main Event Wrestling Network. I don't know if you heard the news yet, but they announced it, and by they, I mean we announced it a couple days ago that we were going to be attempting our very first ever 24-hour Main Event Wrestling stream. Ian, do you think we're going to be able to pull this off successfully?
Well, let me get something off my chest here really quick. I mean, obviously, those that are in the know, they know. I've thrown out the gauntlet. If we hit 600 subscribers, I will be doing a 24-hour live stream. I just want to bring this up, give some credit to where it's due. It should be coming all to me. Let's be honest. I mean, I deserve all of the credit for this idea, obviously. I mean, I know it was brought up in the chat by others, and I was not a part of the conversation. Tino. Yeah, but you know what? I will be a part of that live stream. To what extent, I'm not sure, because I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but
we'll figure it out, right?
It's a wild idea, and I absolutely love it, because that is basically our network.
That's why I love the Main Event Wrestling Network, is because we're just going to throw ideas at a wall. Some are going to stick, some might flop, but at the end of the night, we're going to have a good damn time, aren't we, Ian?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Main event moves happening in Cincinnati tomorrow. I cannot wait. But before we talk about Rumble at Rhinegeist, let's talk about Backlash that is happening this Saturday. And we got 5 matches on the card. Once again, WWE seems to be going to that 5-6 match mark, which I actually think you personally enjoy, right? That they keep their cards shorter?
Yeah, it's nice because, I mean, for a long time, we kind of always, I mean, I remember pre-COVID, it was always like, oh gosh, another PLE, or it was pay-per-views back then, every single month, and it was long pay-per-views. That was just, okay, why are we doing this? This is like a perfect mixture of having those PLEs, but a little bit. It's a good little taste of it.
Get a
and
taste.
It helps, yeah, and it helps also build your big PLEs that you have, you know, the WrestleManias, the Royal Rumbles. I mean, even Royal Rumble, it's a smaller pay-per-view in the grand scheme of things, but it's a nice mixture that they have going on, and you're not expecting anything too crazy to happen during the show, but the matches are being built very well for the show.
That is something I was going to bring up. Totally agree with you there that the build to Backlash actually has been really strong, which is tough to do because you only got that 3-week span to pivot from WrestleMania, and then you got a PLE a month later, so credit where credit is due, even though, like Ian said, somewhat predictable card. I think every match was built up pretty well, especially this one that we're going to talk about first, Gunther versus Pat McAfee. And once again, guys, if you're tuning in live, expecting Steve, he will be joining us at 8 p.m., and that's when we're going to get into that Rumble at Rhinegeist card. But for now, we're talking Backlash. So let's talk Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Ian, just give me your broad thoughts on the build so far, because I personally have really enjoyed it.
I have too. Last week I was a little hesitant about how they were building Pat McAfee's. But after this week's promo battle between the two, I think it saved it, in my complete honest opinion. It wasn't making Gunther seem like a punk kind of thing. I mean, his promo, by mentioning he was by the fear of God, will have to get my arms off your throat. That line itself, he could have delivered that line and walked off, and that would have been it. And that would have sold it completely. I like what they're doing. They're allowing Pat McAfee to do what he does really, really well, and that's cut promos. I mean, we watch Pat McAfee show almost every single day, and the dude could cut a promo at any second's notice. So he's getting a nice little shine. He'll have a match. I think we know how this match is going to go. I just don't want this to be a let Pat McAfee shine a little bit kind of match. I mean, this should be an absolute murder.
100%. And we've had those matches with like Adam Cole in NXT where Pat McAfee got an opportunity to show off and showcase his work, because against an Adam Cole, on paper, that's believable. I mean, Pat's an athlete. He was a punter, but he played in the NFL. You know, you got to work your ass off to get to the NFL regardless of your position. But he's going up against a killer, the ring general, Gunther. This is
Sabrina
about
Carpenter. Sorry.
Give me some of that espresso, baby. But nonetheless, Gunther, I agree with you. It has to just be essentially a squash match here. Of course, Pat's going to have his moments. You know, he's got to get the crowd excited from time. There's got to be a couple moments where you're like, oh, Pat might sneak a win here. But then the killer Gunther just ends up snapping and putting Pat McAfee in his place and putting him on the shelf for probably an extended period of time. I think this is their way of putting Pat McAfee off of TV.
Yeah, write him off probably. I mean, honestly, until SummerSlam, if I'm being honest. Let Pat McAfee have his summer off because he's been a workhorse as of recently. I mean, according to the IWC, Pat McAfee's a part-timer that doesn't deserve to be on the stage.
Oh, like the Great Brown Hope?
Oh, that's right. Oh, that guy right there. Yeah, the Great Brown Hope. Pat should stick to his show and leave the commentating and wrestling to the professionals. Well, Great Brown Hope, I have some news for you. Pat McAfee is a professional. I'm sorry to say it to you. He's been around for about 4 or 5 years almost in the wrestling business, and he draws eyes and he sells tickets. Sorry.
Yeah, and he gives a unique, way of covering professional wrestling that you don't always get when you tune into like an independent show or you're watching AEW. I feel like Pat just brings a bro vibe to the table, which is not everybody's thing. I get that, and that's probably why people don't like him, because a lot of people don't like bro culture or whatever you want to call it, but we'd like Pat here. We're Pat McAfee fans.
That's my neighbor.
And we're going to stay Pat McAfee fans. Yeah, he's a Hoosier at the end of the day. I know he's a Yinzer at heart, but he's also a Hoosier. But we're both going with Gunther to win, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, yeah, I am.
We got to move somewhat quick because we are going to have a guest joining us here in less than 10 minutes. So let's go to this Intercontinental Championship match as Dom Mysterio's looking to defend that title against Penta. Ian, I think this one's kind of simple just because Dom just recently won the title. I'm expecting shenanigans. Maybe Finn tries to cost Dom and it ends in a DQ of sorts. I'm not quite sure, but I think it makes a lot of sense for Dom to just sneak a win out here and defeat Penta in this matchup. What do you think?
I'm going to go a little bit different here. I do think there are going to be shenanigans here, but what do you remember about the Dom Mysterio North American title run? Wasn't long. Not long at all. But still, on paper, he is a North American champion, former at least. This is kind of one of those scenarios that, oh, hi, everybody. This is a solo show from now on. I've kicked Kyle off the screen. I haven't. But this is one of those matches that even if Dom loses this match, no matter what, he will always be kind of known as a former champion. He has won the title. He's already got what he needs to do off the table. He is a champion. And I think they've been teasing this Finn Balor and Judgment Day kind of implosion for a long time. We've been kind of saying it that Judgment Day it's not feeling it like it has in the past. So I think it's almost time for a shakeup. They've been teasing the Finn Balor turn for a while. Finn Balor's starting to lose that steam just a little bit. Let's have Finn Balor cost Dom the title. Let's put the prize on Penta and let Penta have some bangers for that title. Hi, Jeremy. He is back. Looks like he is still having some difficulties. I cannot mute his mic, so you could hear his box fan in the background. We can move into our next match. We have Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. We can, yes. Would you like to take over?
All right. For some reason, I don't know what the hell happened to my AirPods. They just stopped working. They didn't disconnect.
It's all good.
They just stopped working, guys. So, hey, technical difficulties. We always do this live. But, yeah, Jacob Fatu looking to defend his United States Championship against the megastar LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest. Now, we also, just like, the previous guy that we talked about, Jacob Fatu recently won that title at WrestleMania as well. So, on the surface, it's pretty obvious, at least to me personally, Ian, that Jacob Fatu will probably retain his title here, but it could be interesting if they threw a wrinkle and maybe had like a Drew McIntyre get a surprise win. I don't know, but my pick is Jacob Fatu. What about you?
So I know you didn't get to hear it, but my wrinkle kind of match was actually the last match. I did have Dom dropping the title because I think they've been teasing it for a long time, so let's move the title. But this match just kind of screams showcase match and kind of just give a refresher to those that do not know all four of these names. They're all tremendously over, besides Damian Priest, sorry.
He's kind of over. He's kind of there.
He's getting there. I don't know. But I'm going to have Jacob Fatu retain as well.
Makes a lot of sense. So 2 more matches to talk about. Lyra Valkyria looking to defend her women's Intercontinental title against the man, Becky Lynch, which we've talked a lot about it off camera and on camera, how much we are enjoying this match. But Ian, what's your pick?
This one's so tough. I would hate to absolutely kill my absolute new favorite wrestler in WWE. It's kind of a joke, but also I genuinely am enjoying
You enjoy
Lyra
her.
Valkyria. I really love the presentation of her. And this promo's, like we were predicting, it's a perfect promo for Lyra to kind of evolve as a character. So as much as I hate to say it, we got Becky Lynch becoming a new champ. I mean, writing's on the wall. Let's really push this. People are saying the Hogan Becky, the
Becky Hogan, yeah.
Becky Hogan. So
Even though Indy in an interview today with Chris Van Fleet stated how helping Becky was and how much she wanted to elevate the next group of talent.
Look at this feud. Yeah, look at this feud. Lyra, who's kind of struggling a little bit with the title for at least the mainstream audience. I mean, she was putting on really good matches, just couldn't get that character over. This match in this feud is doing exactly that.
So put her on the map.
Hate Becky as much as you want, but she does a lot for this company, obviously.
Hola, ¿cómo está? I didn't know Eric learned Spanish over the week. Hey, congrats to you, Eric. Thanks for stopping by. But I have to agree with you, Ian. It's going to be Becky Lynch. And I think I talked about it a little bit last week that there is money in the chase with Lyra Valkyria. You spend the entire summer with her chasing Becky Lynch. You can even have a little stopgap here and go to Bayley and Becky right after. That's your first feud after Becky wins the title. And then you can revisit Lyra Valkyria down the road. That's where the money's at, in my opinion, because we obviously know that Becky Lynch has history with Bayley. So I'm also going to go with Becky to become the new champion. But let's just say this. Lyra's going to be okay, guys.
Yeah.
She's not
going to get buried. Not going to be buried.
Or buried.
I promise you.
I don't.
Much
You're going
we
to check.
love to throw that word around.
I was going to say, you're going to check right after the match when you see Becky Lynch holding that title.
Buried. Yeah.
You're going to see it all over the internet
IWC.
for sure. The main event, this is what puts butts in seats right here. The nostalgia main event of John Cena, the final world champion, he says, taking on Randy Orton. Now, it's funny, this matchup is happening here in 2025 when if you would have had this match 10 years ago, people would have said, why are we doing John Cena versus Randy Orton again? This is boring. And here we are, a decade removed. Everybody wants to see it now. It's crazy what nostalgia can do to you, Ian, but I think it's obvious who's winning. But the fact that this match is happening in St. Louis, it's going to make for a very special main event, isn't it?
It is. I was a little critical at the start of the introduction to this feud, but I'm a mark. I think way too hard about builds, which is, I mean, we all do, to be fair. But at the same time, like you said, it's nostalgia. Nostalgia sells tickets, especially in today's wrestling world. So if they didn't face off against each other before Cena's year was over, we'd all just be pissed because we never got to see it again. So this is, I hate to say it's a bucket list kind of match, but it really is. It's that retirement tour kind of match, and we're going to be seeing a lot of these for Cena. Cena retains.
Yeah, it's like when your favorite band goes on their retirement tour. You just want to play the hits.
Yep.
You don't have to do the deep dive and, play the songs that, only a select few know. No, play the marquee matchups. Let John Cena face Randy Orton. Let John Cena face CM Punk. You have to revisit history. That's where the money's at. And this is going to be cinema, especially with it happening in St. Louis. I can't wait, but John Cena is definitely going to retain. Grain Brown Hope says that there may be a third person. What do you think?
I don't like it. We have a limited amount of time with Cena. If they could get this feud over quickly after this match, if it keeps going, maybe. The way I see it is, like I said, it's that bucket list thing. There are a lot of guys that we want Cena to face. They may not give all of us to him, obviously, but it's almost kind of like you just need to start scratching names off the list. The more you prolong a feud, and this feud will cool off, like you said, it's one based off nostalgia. You could tell a longer story, a more deep story with these two. Obviously, there's a lot of history there. There's just not that much time for Cena to hold that title and face guys. I don't want to see the third guy yet because that's just going to prolong the feud.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's just going to be a one hit, get it done, and then move on to the next feud. John's just going to go through a lot of feuds, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to enjoy this main event. I'm excited for Backlash, but I'm even more excited to go on a wrestling road trip tomorrow to Cincinnati, Ohio. It is Rumble at Rhinegeist, ladies and gentlemen. So, as Warrior Wrestling said in the comment section, let's bring in Steve Butts in Seats Tortorello to the show. Steve, Welcome back to OTM. How you doing, my friend?
Oh my gosh, I'm great, guys. I don't think we should let Henry control the Warrior accounts anymore.
I don't know. I kind of like him, Steve. He's doing a great job.
That's true. Hi, Henry.
Good to see him in the chat, sir. I'm sure you've been very busy these last few days. It looks like you're still at home. Are you making the road trip tomorrow then?
Yeah, we are doing a day of trip. I've got some of the crew coming over at 7:30 in the morning tomorrow. We are taking off in a van packed with crates full of all the stuff we need. We're going to meet the ring guys down there mid-afternoon, early afternoon, and we're off to the races to bring our crazy carnival to Cincinnati.
Oh, I cannot wait. And look at that. One of your referees is in the chat, too. Just the whole crew coming hanging out.
Hell
Good
yeah.
to see. I'll be taking a road trip with Jeremy to come see you guys tomorrow night. But there might be some people, Steve, that are watching for the very first time and don't really know what Pro Wrestling Ventures is about. So if you don't mind, giving us a little backstory on how this all started here.
I don't mind at all. So our original promotion was Warrior Wrestling, which is on hiatus right now. We ran Warrior Wrestling from 2018 through the end of 2023. Loved it. It had a very particular vibe, very particular style of shows. Started in the south suburbs of Chicago and grew to tour all around the Midwest. And then we launched Pro Wrestling Ventures, which is always kind of like the parent company of Warrior Wrestling. Anyway, that was the name of the LLC. We made that more formal in doing this new style of show where we partner with breweries. So we wanted to figure out what is a more sustainable way to do wrestling shows, like financially, planning wise, with the way the indies have shifted so much, and running super shows, which is what Warrior wasn't really feasible anymore, right? The Indie Super Show was a huge boon of 2015 through 2021, 2022. And just the way that so many people got signed up, so much changed in the Indies. Running standalone Super Shows wasn't a thing anymore. So we were looking for interesting ways to continue to do wrestling, but do it differently. And we stumbled onto this new idea of partnering with breweries that have giant space, because wrestling and beer go hand in hand. And so we bring the shows to the breweries, and we have these packed houses. Everybody's drinking, everybody's having a great time. Brewery and beer people who are there just out of curiosity to check out the wrestling, they're blown away. Wrestling fans come in, they love the venues. It has worked out perfectly for us. So right now, Pro Wrestling Ventures is our partnership with breweries wing, and those are the kind of shows we're running these days.
That's interesting. I didn't even know that. Ian, you're even wearing one of those brewery shows right there from Trouble is Brewing. I
am. I correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe Trouble is Brewing in Chicago was the first of the PWV events. I had a great time. For those that know me, love beer, and also I love wrestling. So sign me up anytime for it. So I love the idea, and obviously I cannot wait for tomorrow. I genuinely cannot wait. Luckily, I am a little bit closer drive, only 2 hours, so it's gonna be a little easier on me.
Yeah, so you can beat us there. Yeah, but yeah, we're so excited to come to Rhinegeist. So when we started this, and you're right, Trouble is Brewing with Revolution in Chicago was the first one. That was the kind of the example, right? Like that was the blueprint. And then when it went so well, and we asked ourselves, like, all right, where else can we do this? And we looked all around the Midwest, and you have to have a beer brand that is the size that makes sense for a partnership with us. You also have to have the space, and a lot of breweries and tap rooms are in industrial areas where it's just giant kettles and there's not a lot of space. So not a lot of them have a hall. And when we saw the tap room at Rhinegeist, like our eyes got 3 sizes bigger, like the Grinch, and we started to salivate, and we're like, we can put a wrestling show there. And so we're so excited to be coming to that space, particularly because it's going to be such a cool venue.
I've definitely had a few of their beers in my day, but I have never been to Cincinnati, and I'm going to say it right here, right now. I'm not trying Skyline Chili. You can't make me do it.
You have to.
Oh, Steve, do you like it?
I've never had it.
Oh,
it's
like,
good.
Why would you go to a place and be like, no, I'm not going to try the unique food in this place. Give me the McDonald's quarter pounder, sir. Why would you do that?
I mean, that's a fair point, I guess.
To be fair,
Get the chili. Let's all go out after the show and get the chili.
Oh gosh, it is good. I will tell you, I've been there once for a work trip. It delivers.
Yeah,
I will say that.
We're gonna have to talk to the guy I'm carpooling with because he's my ride home. So,
you know what?
TBD on that one, Steve.
Jeremy's a teddy bear. Come on, Jeremy.
Hey, if we do it, I think we got to document it then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We'll get it on camera for the socials. But recently, you just talked about it. You guys have been traveling to different parts of the country, areas that you typically don't travel to because you're based out of the Chicagoland area to start. So what are some of the challenges that come with going into a new city that you've never been to before? And what are some of the exciting things with the process of going into a city where you just don't really know what to expect?
Yeah, so I'd say some of the challenging things, sometimes depending on how far it is from home base, is that we have to build a new fan base. So like we have some people that have come from Ohio to our shows in Chicago or in Indianapolis or St. Louis or Michigan, et cetera. But a lot of people didn't. So a big piece was introducing ourselves to the Southern Ohio, Kentucky, Southern Indiana area and saying, hey, we're coming to visit and we want you to trust us and invest in us with buying a ticket and your time and trust that we're going to put on a good show. So you've got to introduce yourself. It's like going to a new school, right? Like now we're freshmen in high school after being in 8th grade. We knew everybody in 8th grade and now we move up and we don't know any other kids in the class. So that's kind of a challenge. But that's also the exciting part too. So I will never forget the first road show we did was South Bend, Indiana. It was Will Ospreay versus Brian Cage in January of 2023. And so many people stopped me after that show walking out of the arena to say like, you brought Will Ospreay to South Bend. Like, thank you. Like we never imagined we could have seen a show like this in South Bend. So people were so excited for us to bring our brand of what we do to those cities that we're going to. So the challenge is meeting new friends, so to speak, but the excitement is meeting new friends. I think it's two sides of the same coin.
Makes a lot of sense. So, hey, let's get into the card then. Let's talk about it. Rumble at Rhinegeist happening tomorrow night. Doors open at 7 p.m. and we are officially sold out, right, Steve?
Sure, not a ticket to be had.
Love to hear that. So, Ian, why don't you kick things off and let's get into this card.
Yeah, a match that was made official today is Big Trouble Ben Bishop versus Prima Donnie. So it seems as though, if you're on the IWC or have even ventured onto Twitter, you have probably seen the name Ben Bishop somewhere at some point. Some may say he deserves some criticism for his social media interactions. I personally absolutely love it because I think he has found that perfect mix of independent wrestling grind set mixed with social media interaction, which I think is always good no matter what kind of interaction it gets. However, as we know, only the greatest of the wrestlers on the independent circuit will step foot in the PWV ring. And I'll be honest, I had to get a little background information from our Cincy correspondents in the Wrestling Junkies podcast on Prima Donnie. And I quote, Donnie is fucking awesome to watch live. And I quote, that can be stated again. Do you personally think Bishop has put a lot of pressure on his own shoulders as he's facing the beloved Cincy native of Prima Donnie?
Yeah, so that vibe is gonna be interesting, right? So originally this was Ben Bishop versus Trevor Outlaw, and there are people that love Ben, people that hate Ben, but everybody hates Trevor. So it would have been very clear who the crowd would have been behind in that matchup. This matchup is a different wrinkle. There will be people behind Ben against Ben, and I think there's going to be a lot of people behind Prima Donnie, the hometown Cincinnati guy, the firefighter from Cincinnati, who is taking on this giant. So it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out and if we have a polarizing reaction of Ben Bishop or a totally united pro-Donnie, anti-Ben reaction.
Oh, here we go. Henry said Trevor forever. What are we going to
do?
We
don't give Henry the socials.
We do like Trevor Outlaw over here. I'm not going to act like we don't. We're a fan of his, and it's unfortunate that we're not going to see him wrestle, but the fact that I don't know anything about Prima Donnie going into this, and then I have a friend say, oh, they're fucking electric, that gets me excited to see this because, like Ian said, we already know about Big Trouble Ben Bishop and what he's capable of doing. He's got charisma for days, but it's the uncertainty out of Prima Donnie that's going to make this matchup interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a clash of personalities. This is going to be... I'll go out on a limb and say we're not going to see a lot of chain wrestling. We're not going to see a lot of top rope hurricane ranas or launching spots, but we're going to see two personalities clash in a way that to me is just pure pro wrestling.
And that's what sometimes it's at its best. That's in my opinion. I'm storyline driven when it comes to my professional wrestling, and characters are what draws me in. if these two are characters, we're going to have an entertaining matchup here. That's for damn sure. And then another entertaining matchup is a rematch, a big rematch from Trouble is Brewing show in Milwaukee. And it is Sam Beal versus Jason Hotch. And that actually opened the show with some intense physicality that I was not expecting being there live in Milwaukee. And Jason's a guy that's been tearing it up lately in TNA. He's actually wrestling on Impact as we speak right now in a tag match. So he's on a roll, and you have Sam, who seems to be a regular or becoming a regular here on your guys' show. So what gives in this one? Who has the edge going into this match, in your opinion?
Interesting question. So I think, as you said, Hotch has this incredible amount of skill, right? His speed, his striking, his quickness. He is incredibly underrated. Like, I know there's a lot of wrestlers out there, and there's a million people on WWE's roster and a million people on AEW's roster. So a lot of folks don't even get to look at the undercard and the guys who are workhorses on TNA's roster. But Jason Hotch, pound for pound in ability and execution, one of the best guys in the United States. He's awesome. Sam Beal is a great wrestler who's also a great antagonist, a great character, a great pain in the ass. And so some people, some wrestlers can let their personality shine through, but they might not deliver all the way in the ring. Sam's got both. So I think this is a dynamite combination. They did so well. Like, they tore the house down at Trouble is Brewing and in the opener. And honestly, one of the conversations we talked about going to new towns earlier. One of the things we talk about internally is, what are some things that have worked really well for us that we want to show these new friends, right? These new kids in high school, these things we want to bring with us and say, hey, here's a cool thing we did. And we looked at what are some great matches that have over delivered when we've been other places. And don't reinvent the wheel. Let's do the rematch. Let's show Cincinnati what Chicago fell in love with. And that's the goal here, is let's bring our best foot forward. And in this case, one of our best feet is Sam Beal versus Jason Hotch.
Yeah, and I'm not too familiar with these two, but when I got to see them work, like I said, in Milwaukee, it instantly put a target on their backs in terms of, I have to watch these guys whenever they're on TV. Or they're must-see, that, in my opinion. But you kind of mentioned it. You talked about, how the WWE roster is huge and whatnot. The releases did just happen, the annual releases from the WWE. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on there, because I shared my thoughts on this channel, and I think that now more than ever, there are more opportunities for these wrestlers that got released to thrive in the independent wrestling scene. Would you agree?
Yes and no. Here's the yes. Some really talented people got released who are awesome and in demand and will tear the house down wherever they go. So I think they will be in high demand and they will do a great job. But as I alluded to earlier, the indie scene of 2025 is not the indie scene of 2019. There were a dozen and a half, I'd call them, super indies in 2019 that had the infrastructure, the budget, and the fan base, and the ability to bring in big level stars who just got free and really showcase them. There aren't that many super indies anymore. And without getting too deep into the business side of things, I think anybody out there could assume a recently released WWE star is expensive. And so they're awesome. They're going to kill it. But 5-6 years ago, they would have had 20 places that could book them in a heartbeat. I don't know that that's the case right now. And I feel bad about that, because I feel like I want them to get 100 bookings, right? Like, I want them to be booked everywhere, make a ton of money, make a killing, prove WWE wrong. But right now, I don't know that the scene is set up for them to do that. And if I'm wrong, I'll be thrilled to be wrong, right? But I just don't see the moderate size to super indie scene having recovered yet to the level where it can absorb and platform a dozen awesome talents who cost WWE money, if that makes sense.
No, that makes plenty of sense. Thanks for answering that, by the way.
Yeah, so half and half.
Yeah, makes sense.
I might need to pause for a minute and run away. So I'm solo parenting. My daughter is crying right now. I apologize to all listeners. I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
Take care of business, dude.
Sorry,
You're
guys.
all good.
I'll be right back.
It's all good, man. But yeah, so what do you want to talk about, as Cody Rhodes would say?
I was going to say, I think that's a really interesting concept, though, because, I mean, he's right. It's especially ever since AEW was formed. Before AEW, there wasn't a lot of places for I mean, like a Will Ospreay to go to. He was in New Japan. I don't know how New Japan contracts work, but he was able to work over here in the United States. Does that all the time.
Thanks for the heads up, Henry.
But no, I think that's a really interesting concept, and I think personally it will bounce back. I think the indies will bounce back, but also the indies period, especially during the COVID era. I mean, we know it was awesome. It was insane, and obviously with Warrior Wrestling, it blemished off of it, and it thrived.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're the reason we became independent wrestling fans.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We went to one of their shows and we were instantly hooked, and I think that's what Steve was talking about, and that's why it's exciting when they go to these new cities. Is he's creating that new fan, that person that's gonna buy the ticket to come to the next show.
Well, and another, a talent that just got released, Cora Jade. We saw her in Warrior first, and at the first Stadium Series, you mention it all the time. We once saw her in a high school football field, and now she's on the big screen. So I'm also very skeptical on how the indies will bounce back, but it's a really interesting concept.
I didn't know that they could schedule or announce bookings with these talents right after they released. Is that a thing, Steve? Do you know?
Yeah, as long as the booking is after their release date. So one of the things that the internet kind of misreports, just the way it's phrased, is the talent aren't released now and have a no compete clause. They get a notice that says you're going to be released on this date. Okay. And they're like paid through the end of that date. So their contract is they can be advertised for various things as long as it's after the date in which they're released.
Oh, okay. That makes much more sense.
Yeah, some talent are super careful, right? Like they don't want to ruffle any feathers and announce stuff. Other talent are like, well, I'm released anyway, so like here's where I'll be. It just varies, and there is some varies in the clauses between NXT and main roster as well when folks get released.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not like, it's either way.
The reason I asked is because we were just talking about those releases, obviously, and I saw Elena Black is already accepting bookings, which is exciting because we even mentioned it while you had to step away. She was featured on one of your shows before. That's when we were introduced to her. And it's crazy to me that she even got released. I don't know if you have any additional comments on that.
Yeah, I mean, so at a macro level, here's my take. Every time WWE's done releases last 3 or 4 times, it's always right before they've signed a bunch of new people. Mm-hmm. And so like all these releases happened, and then they locked up a dozen AAA talents. True. My hypothesis is this. They have, as a company, a fixed budget for talent. That fixed budget is full. They make a strategic decision that, hey, we need to bring in all the certain new people. So then they got to free up space. And so then they immediately look at who is making money at a level over which we think we're going to push them. Right. And so like that's why Nick Nemeth got fired last time around, right? Why he got released, because he was making like main event level money, and they just decided they weren't going to push him into main event level anymore. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying, hey, we're going to cut your pay by 2/3 and you can stay a mid-carder, they just released his contract. That's what I think happened with a lot of these talents. I think they had to free up space for all the AAA people, and they just picked people that they didn't see an immediate upside in. And in some of these cases, maybe they pick people that they thought, oh, well, they'll go do indies or wherever for it. We can always hire them back.
Come back, yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think even Indy Hartwell alluded to the fact that she even asked WWE to keep her name with the intentions of potentially coming back to the company. So what you're saying is absolutely true. But let's get back on track. Let's get to Rumble at Rhinegeist. Ian, I think you got the next. Oh, what you got?
So, I was just going to say one more thought, too. The other thing that's interesting, I could talk this stuff for hours.
you got all the time in the world, brother.
So obviously we have the new weird relationship between WWE and TNA. So many of these stars are going to have a soft landing spot in TNA, just because basically TNA has always taken anybody who came from WWE for the most part. And now it is very clear that TNA is WWE's little brother that does what WWE wants 100%. So you're going to see a lot of people maybe in this round or the next round that get cut and then go to TNA, hang out there for like a year, and then come back to WWE. They're going to stay in that WWE ecosystem, I think.
Makes sense. I mean, I was going to say, at the end of the day, it's all business. This little world that we have all are a part of, it's a fandom in most eyes, but at the end of the day, it is business. There's a lot of money involved. But speaking of business, and more importantly, good business, I need to move on to our next match because we have seen it before, and I know for a fact I am still excited to watch it again and again and again and again. I know we talked about it the last time you were on this podcast, but the match between Bang & Matthews versus the Latinos Most Wanted, first off, I wasn't too familiar with Latinos Most Wanted, but being from the Chicago area, we've seen them on the independent circuit a lot. And there's a good reason for it because these guys absolutely know how to work a crowd. Yep. And they're a match made in heaven. Yes. And again, I know you've touched on the magic that these two had before on the podcast, but in your eyes, I just want you to remind the people listening at home, why are these two must-see every single time they are in the ring?
Because they're incredibly hungry. They're incredibly athletic. They are incredibly thoughtful about how they work as tag teams. These are two sets of guys that study, that want to be great at what they do, and they absolutely bring out the best in one another. The four of them came up together training in the Freelance Wrestling Academy, so they know each other, they know each other's training, they know each other's instincts, and they're all trying to claw their way to the top. And right now in independent wrestling, we alluded a few moments ago to kind of the situation of indie wrestling. There's especially not a lot of A1 level tag teams out there. And so if you can make your name as a tag team and really stake your claim, you have a shot to get noticed by one of the two big conglomerates. And I think each of them has really done that. I mean, again, athletically, innovatively, as far as like coming up with incredible things to do violently to one another. They've also both hit on what I think is one of the key cornerstones of pro wrestling, which is figuring out who you are as a personality. And like Latinos Most Wanted, like the music hits, they come through the curtain and like, I get it. Like, absolutely. There's a little bit of LAX flavor there. There's a little bit of Filthy Animals flavor there, but a lot of their own flavor there as well. And the machismo and the energy and the vibe and the, like, I get it. When they come out, walk around the ring and get in the ring, I get them. Same thing with Bang & Matthews. They have figured out who they are. Each of them has evolved as solo wrestlers, and they came together as a tag. They just are. Like, they just embody who they are. So you've got two teams, incredibly athletic, incredibly hungry, incredibly innovative, and who also understand themselves and who they are as stars, and they bring out the best in one another. This is one of those, like, they're destined to do it forever things, and we're destined to enjoy it forever.
So we can do the Fight Forever chant tomorrow?
Yes. You can start, like the bell can ring and you can start it.
That's my role tomorrow. I'm just going to be the lead chant guy for Rumble at Rhinegeist.
Please.
Who says no? I got a loud mouth.
Like, here's the thing. Here's a challenge to Cincinnati. If you're a Cincinnati or Ohio person, or somebody who's listening, who's coming to the show, I don't know what the vibe of your crowd is. I hope you've got the energy of Chicago or Milwaukee or South Bend or Grand Rapids or Indianapolis. If not, we're going to have Kyle be the cheerleader and get you guys going because we want fire in that building.
I was gonna say, Steve, trying to beat a Chicago crowd is tough. It's tough. And I frequent Chicago crowds, so I'm with you here, Steve. I'm challenging Cincinnati to bring the energy tomorrow because the talent are gonna bring the talent. That's what they do. But we have another tag match to talk about. The Outrunners versus Crash and Beastman. You talk about meat, no bread, no water, just meat here. I am excited for this one because the Outrunners, they've been making waves in AEW lately, and they come into this match with a lot of buzz and a lot of hype. But what should we know more about Crash and Beastman? Because we have seen Beastman work many of times at shows. He is a special talent and somebody I would not want to be across the ring for. So the Outrunners got their hands full here, don't they?
Oh, 100%. We actually named this the Too Much Man match. Just like there's just too much man in that ring.
There is.
Too much man. There we go. So Beastman, as you mentioned, just all the things I just talked about with Bang & Matthews and LMW, that's Beastman. Awesome worker, awesome character, totally gets who he is, totally owns the crowd, just exists. There we go, Husk. Just exists on a different plane. Crash is very similar. Crash has really found his own in PW Revolver and other indies that he's worked. We've had him on before. He did a pre-show in one of those Stadium Series shows. You guys might have seen him in the past. Just a good dude, good energy. And these are two behemoths, right? Like these are two boulders come to life and like wrecking balls that sprouted arms and legs. And they're going to come down to the ring and face the youngest men alive. It's just so much oily muscle meat, smashed meat. Like this is for those who just want to see maybe, I don't know, the ring break. Like this is that match.
This is the match where you go up to the bar, you have the double fist for this match, and then just enjoy it.
Yep.
Just sit back, double fist, have a couple brews.
If they'll make you a pitcher, just bring a pitcher of beer.
Oh.
I can't wait to have a couple beers and watch wrestling. Gosh, I'm just so excited.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is the absolute pinnacle of pro wrestling, in my opinion, because, like you said, it's a good mixture of personality, as we're well aware, especially from the Outrunners, and I absolutely love Beastman personally, Husk all the way.
What if he jumps off the bar like Henry's saying?
No. First of all, I don't know if the bar would support him.
Husk! Oh,
bad idea.
I mean, we've seen it before at your shows. The bar is not off limits.
The bar has been used. We're 2 out of 2 in the large brewery shows for the bar being used. So I don't know what's coming tomorrow, but I would not rule it out.
Hell yeah.
Well, if there was one match to top this, if you want to call it a beautiful car crash in that match, it would have to be the main event. And Steve, I got to ask you, why are you such a nice guy? Because you keep giving these fans such insane main events. I mean, Mustafa Ali, he's the 2024 Independent Wrestler of the Year. Yep. He just had an insane match, like literally a car crash with Santana at TNA Rebellion just past month. And he's shown, no matter what size the crowd is, what stage he's performing on, the dude literally gives it his 100% that night. And another guy that will not stop no matter what happens, Zachary Wentz, a guy that will forever be known as a staple member of one of the greatest factions in pro wrestling. And he's been making headlines as a deserved top singles guy as well as of recently in his TNA run and his recent NXT appearance this week. He's turning heads all around. And again, we've seen Mustafa Ali take on some form of the Rascals at some point. A guy that he's facing tonight in Trey Miguel. They've previously been in the ring on a PWV show at some point. I have to ask you, does Ali have some weird vendetta against the Rascals, or what do we got going on here?
I don't. Maybe we do. Maybe we shouldn't. I don't know.
Damn, Booker.
Honestly, here's what it is. So we've talked about this before in different formats. We love the Rascals. The Rascals, they're, whether it's with Dez or with Myron, obviously Zach and Trey, they have been so great on all of the Warrior Wrestling shows that we've done. They started with us on Warrior Wrestling 4, and they were a recommendation of Brian Cage. We had heard of them, seen them in other shows, and hadn't watched enough of their work. And it was Brian Cage who said, I want to defend the title against all 3 Rascals at once. And Eric and I were like, what? And they absolutely owned Warrior Wrestling 4. It was an incredible match. And from then on, they were staples in our shows because they're just so great at timing and quickness and striking and going in directions you don't think they're going to go. It's that Dragon Gate training. It's that indie wrestling training. It's that PWG out in LA training and matches that they bring to the table. So when we started working with Mustafa Ali, the moment he was released, as you mentioned, he's a total star, never phones it in, busts his ass. And for us, the question for our very first brewery show was, who can match that? And it was Trey. And then when we went up to Milwaukee, it was, well, who else can match it? It's Myron. And now we're coming to Cincinnati, and we're like, well, Zach's from 45 minutes north of Cincinnati. Let's make it the Chicago export versus the hometown guy in Cincinnati. 3 for 3 Ali versus Rascals. 3 for 3 absolute bangers. And this time we've got one with the hometown guy in that main event. And again, it's people who, both Ali and Zach, are great human beings, great performers, great wrestlers. These are guys who deserve to be on the biggest platform they possibly can be on. So I was thrilled to see that Zach's starting to get some singles traction in TNA. I was thrilled to see Ali tear it down with Santana, as you mentioned, who's another guy who's super hungry. Gosh. We can talk about him later. Super hungry, super amazing. And so if you're a wrestling fan coming to the show tomorrow night, or if you watch it later on when we put it up online, you're going to see 2 wrestlers, Zach and Ali, who just love this stuff. And they're going to lay it all out on the line, and nobody is going to walk out of that brewery, all 400 people or whatever it is sold out in that tap room. Nobody's going to walk away feeling like they got anything less than an absolute classic main event from these 2 studs.
and I wouldn't expect anything less from these two. I couldn't have said it better myself. But I am curious. You said you were going to send out the clips later. Is this the same kind of format as previous shows that you've done?
Yep. So we're going to record everything. So we'll do some video recording, and then whatever we're able to. Hopefully, most of the matches in full we'll put up on YouTube, or for some, if we don't have full, we'll do them in clips, so we can share at least the vibe of what it was like there with everybody. Because our hope is to continue doing these shows, and to bring it to more and more breweries. We've been talking to people in Michigan, talking to people in Missouri, talking to people in Iowa. I've got a couple more in Illinois I've been talking to. So the hope is that doing more and more of these brewery shows and being able to show the clips of what the vibe is when you're in a beer hall and everybody's drinking and everybody's having a good time. So that way, when we come to another town, people know what to expect.
Or you could do with what Henry said, PayPal him, and he'll send you a bootleg live link. There you go.
Henry, I'll pay you more to not put up a bootleg ad.
For clarification, I don't want to get the social media guy in trouble.
Yeah, don't fire him.
Actually, so here, just talking a little inside baseball for a minute. We joke about that, but the reason we don't live stream them, one of the reasons, is because we want to put out a cut of it that best captures the vibe, the volume, the energy, etc. And nothing for me kills a show more than watching it on like a janky ass iPhone live stream, right? Like it could be
TikTok live,
in the world live, but I watch this crappy stream and I'm immediately think it's like a shoestring budget piece of crap show. And it's not, right? Like people are working really hard. So I would much rather wait and put out a really good cut of it than get it live to be live. And it's like an iPhone from 40 feet away. That just doesn't do it for me as a fan.
And I think a good comparison, Kyle knows, and you might know, I might have brought this up to you at some point, but I'm a diehard Cubs fan. Wrigley Field is kind of like that. Cubs, they do a lot of advertising, obviously, but their motto is you have to see it. You have to be there. It's the same exact moniker that you guys could be stating. It's independent wrestling especially. You have to be in that room to get the full experience. Unless you're a diehard crazy wrestling fan like us and could watch two guys wrestle in the middle of a backyard with no audience and still have a good time.
Which we have done.
We have done that, yes. But you have to be there, and I am so excited to see where you guys go next and what city you go next.
So first of all, I was in the bleachers on Tuesday night. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Like sun setting over Wrigley. You can see the skyline, just everybody having a blast. A couple of homers. Like the Cubs tie it in the bottom of the ninth. They went on to give up 9 runs in the top of the 11th.
Yeah,
so,
we don't talk about that.
But we can. I like hearing about that.
We left in the 10th, so we left it a tie game going into extra innings. But yes, it's that feeling of like you can watch a baseball game on TV, or you can sit in the bleachers with a beer in your hand, like in Wrigley. It's not the same. I always tell people that hockey and pro wrestling are two things that you have to experience live to get them. And if you haven't gone live, you don't get it. I have a buddy who's a Wisconsin guy and went to his first Blackhawks game years ago, probably 10 years ago. And for years, he'd been like, I don't get hockey. And we went to a Hawks game and he turned to me like 10 minutes and he goes, I get it now. Because being there live is different. Same thing for wrestling. When we ran those first Warrior shows at Marian Catholic in Chicago Heights, and I was principal down there, and a bunch of my department chairs and teachers came to the shows, and they're like, all right, like, I guess we'll help with this crazy fundraiser thing. That next week, so many of them stopped me in the halls and were like, that was so cool. Why didn't I know this was so cool? Because you have to see it live to get it.
I have a question. Ian, I know you have a few final questions you wanted to ask, but this just came to mind. Did you ever see this reaching the level that it has reached currently when you started this business, or this company, I should say?
No, because it started purely as a fundraiser for the school. We later spun it off and let it become its own business, but it was a one-time thing. And then flash forward, and the second one, Rey Mysterio's in the gym where I played freshman basketball. You know what I mean? And then the third one, and then the fourth one. And by Warrior 7 in December of 19, it was having Will Ospreay at a show that, like, Eric and I were like, what planet are we on? Like, what have we done? Like, how did we get here? Not just because of how amazing Ospreay is, and of course has gone on to become like the ace of AEW, but like he flew from, actually he might have come from Japan like him and Suzuki, I think, flew from Japan, and we did Ospreay and Amazing Red and Rocky Romero versus the Rascals in a first time ever match that was like unbelievable. The whole roster came out and sat on the stage. Brian Cage was literally in his boxer shorts eating his post match pizza on the stage because the whole locker room wanted to be there to see what was happening for that main event. So like that to us, that was like, once we hit the stratosphere of like, oh my gosh. And then, the next thing was like, flash forward another Ospreay thing. 2 years later, December of 21, we're doing Ospreay, Blake Christian, and Trey Miguel for the Warrior title. And Ospreay wins the belt in Tinley Park in the convention center. Sold out, tons of people going nuts. No one on earth thought Ospreay was going to win the belt. And then he picks up the mic, and we did not know this was coming. He holds up the title and he goes, I'm bringing this down the ramp at the Tokyo Dome in 3 weeks. And then the main event of wrestling.
I remember this.
He's wearing our effing belt to fight. I think it was him and Okada in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. Like that was this like out of body moment for like, we just bullshit this into
You made it. Yeah, that's your you made it moment.
And Ospreay's wearing this belt in the Tokyo Dome to fight Okada. Like, no, we did not imagine that was going to happen. But my God, what a ride it's been.
I was going to say that's credit to you and credit to the people that you have surrounding you, because you have an excellent support group. And we speak their praises all the time, but the people behind the scenes, I don't want to leave everybody out because I know I'll forget a name, but seriously, the best people that you could have supporting a wrestling company.
We love it, and we want to do well and treat people. Like the number of people who are like, oh my gosh, you treat everybody so well when we work your shows. The wrestlers are like, I don't know, we're just treating you like people, like humans. I don't know what else to tell you, but like, we love it. We want to be pros. We want to treat people well. We want people to come back. We want to feed them. We want to give them drinks. We want to give them creative freedom. We want to give them feedback. We want to pay them on time and well. And we want like all those things that we try to do to just be decent people to work with, like pays off, I guess.
Right. Ian, I don't know if do you have any final questions? I was going to go to the chat real quick.
Well, I could kind of build off of this one. I kind of have it's a serious-ish question. You may not have the answer to it, but obviously you're living, I mean, our dreams, a lot of wrestling fans' dreams. I have to ask you, do you have any advice for anybody that for some reason, for some crazy reason, they're like, you know what? I want to start my own promotion, whether it's big or small. Any advice at all?
Oh, man. Oh, wow. This could be a whole other podcast, right? Like, I'd have to think through it because I'm sure I have a ton of things we did wrong that we learned along the way, etc. I think the number one thing I can say is the worst thing people can say is no, right? Like, don't be afraid to ask. Not only ask people to, like, do your show, but ask people for advice, ask people for help, ask people for, like, the number of, and I had to learn this in other avenues in life before I got to starting Warrior Wrestling. But like the number of things that don't happen because you didn't ask, and it would have been a yes if you asked, is like astronomical. From like, will that girl go on a date with me? To like, could I apply for this job? To, I wonder, like all of those things in people's lives, ask. Like the number one thing I can tell you is ask, because the worst thing that can happen is somebody says no. But maybe somebody says, yeah, I'm interested. Tell me more. Now all of a sudden you're off to the races. And you can get told no 10 times, and the 11th time might be a yes. Just so like, don't stop asking. Like, don't be a dick, but like, don't be like a box. But like, politely ask people if they can share things with you, or they're willing to work with you, if you can learn from them. Right? Do not stop politely asking, because no one else in the world is reading your mind and knows that you want it, and is like, oh, I read your mind and knew you wanted this thing. Let me deliver it to you on a silver platter. No. You have to go ask. So ask. That is the one thing I'll start with. And again, we can do a whole nother conversation on it. But that, if you're listening and thinking about anything in wrestling, from I want to train, I want to start a promotion, I'm running a small local promotion, I would love to get a big like, it all boils down to ask.
And that's great advice, because we wouldn't have this working relationship and now friendship, I would say, with you, Steve, if we didn't reach out and just ask. And you know, credit to knowing Jeremy. We were friends with Jeremy beforehand. We knew someone, but we established that connection just being genuine human beings, just being guys. And that's what it should be about.
Well, and the number of people, our open door policy at Warrior has always been, we've had dozens of photographers, videographers, artists, like various people like, hey, could I come do some sketching at your show? Yeah, come on. Like our answer is always like, yep, doors open. Come on in, everybody, right? Like, because we try to act the way we would want to be treated. And so if I have even the most, obscure, like Tori with the cookies, Top Rope Baking, she's like, I do custom cookies for wrestling shows. Would it be okay if I sold cookies at your show? Hell yeah. Come on in, sell some cookies, right? Like all of these things, our answer is, unless it's like something weird or like, a huge negative, like our answer is always yes, come on in. And I hope that somebody who's asked us was surprised they got a yes and are better off for it. And you yourselves, anybody out there, keep asking, because somebody will say yes.
Absolutely. Steve, you got a couple extra minutes to answer some questions from the chat? Okay.
My wife doesn't get home for like 15 minutes, so we're good.
Oh, all right. So fire off those questions, people. We got one here from Eric Douglas, and he's wondering if you could maybe bring a show to Houston or Texas. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. So our logistically, our ring guys are willing to go to Texas and do our ring. Of course, we can rent a ring locally in Texas, but we love the guys that we work with. We're based out of Indiana. So like logistically, we could get there. Eric, I would say the number one thing, and if you could do a little groundwork for me, and I even willing to chat with you offline and do some on my own. Let's talk to some breweries. Like, are there places that have a big space, that have a brand, that would love to bring 300 or 400 people in for a wrestling show? Let's talk. Let's see if there's the right venue. I don't see us doing like a rent a gym and launch a show on our own. But if we've got a venue that wants to bring us in, hell yeah, let's go to Houston.
Yeah, why not? And he also asked, who's your biggest name you've had in Warrior? I'm assuming it's Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, probably Rey Mysterio. Just generationally, right? Like that was we were his last show before he went back to WWE. He did All In on a Saturday, our show on a Sunday, and was announced returning to WWE on a Monday morning.
Oh, that's right. You ran with All In weekend, didn't you, in Chicago?
After the original All In 2018.
Yeah. I remember that show. I remember the advertisement for it. Obviously, I didn't know you personally, but it came across my feed at the time. That's funny.
All right, so real quick, just building off the Just Ask.
Yeah.
So they announced All In is coming to Hoffman Estates near Chicago in whatever date it was, Labor Day weekend in 2018. And they announced Rey Mysterio is going to be part of the show. We were already brewing a second Warrior Wrestling and thinking about doing it around All In weekend. Here's where Just Ask comes in. I emailed Dave Meltzer the moment they announced Rey Mysterio. And I was like, hey, Dave, any chance you have contact for Rey Mysterio's booking? Dave Meltzer responds in 10 minutes. He's like, talk to Conan. Here's Conan's email. I emailed Conan. I set up a call with Conan. We talk to Conan. We get Rey Mysterio booked. Literally, like that happened because I emailed Dave. Dave was like, sure, here, let me help. I'll connect you to Conan. I emailed Conan. Conan says, sure, let me help. Boom.
And he just said yes.
Wow. Just Ask.
That's awesome. And how does Steve find time to keep his hair and beard so dreamy? It's a great question.
So I just got a haircut like 2 days ago. Before this, I looked like a caveman. I looked like Beastman. I go in a cycle of like, I do not get a haircut or do anything to my beard for like 8 weeks. So I go from this to Beastman and then back to this, gradually back to Beastman. I've gotten so lazy. So I used to be clean shaven, and I grew a beard because I'm not shaving anymore. I'm not even going to trim a beard anymore. I'm going to get the beard trimmed, pay $20 or whatever, and then leave it for 8 weeks and then get it trimmed again.
I love it.
I mean, you're committed to the bit, I guess. He is show ready. He definitely is. Erica is curious if you have any funny stories from the road.
Oh my God, Eric, how much time do you have, man? There's a bunch we can tell. There's a bunch we can't tell.
Yeah.
And actually, my right-hand man, Eric Hamilton, has the best stories because he often is the guy in the van with a lot of the top talent, either to or from the airports or driving out to different cities. I'll tell you like a heartwarming story, or a cute story. Will Ospreay, that's another Ospreay story. We were working with Will in June of 22. We had him up for a show in Grand Rapids. And he was around the first time he was ever in AEW leading up to the first Forbidden Door in June of 22, which was going to be in Chicago. And for whatever reason, he was doing a couple of Dynamites and other things. And like, he thought he was going to be able to go home and like got double booked on a Dynamite, and he got stuck in like he couldn't go home. He had to stay in Chicago for like 5 days in between stuff. And he thought he was going to be able to go home to England. So me and Eric were like, what are you doing like tomorrow? He's like, nothing. You want to have an American barbecue in Eric's backyard and play bags and hang out? And so Will Ospreay came over. We grilled burgers and dogs. We taught him bean bags or cornhole, which he'd never heard of before.
Bags.
And we took no pictures, took no videos, no weird fan stuff or anything like that. Just hung out with Ospreay for the afternoon. Eric's kids were running around the bean bags while we're throwing bean bags with Will Ospreay, like just kicking it and hanging out. Like that's like a favorite road story, right? Like here's this
That's awesome.
amazing international dude who's like, yeah, let's have a barbecue.
Why wasn't Henry invited?
Well, because we didn't want Henry to ruin it.
Henry makes everything better. He's bald like me. We're the Bald Brothers. Come on now.
Gosh.
That's a deadly combo to have at your shows. You could promote that on your card. The Bald Brothers. Yeah. Get us in a tag match. I'm ready, Steve. I've been training. I'm down 30 pounds. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, real quick, one more
He's
bonus.
like, no.
No, thank you. Bonus Ospreay story. And Eric tells it better than I do because he was firsthand. We're driving to South Bend. It's one of the South Bend shows that Ospreay's on. And they have to stop for gas or something. And there, first of all, it was Ospreay's first American road trip. And he was just so sentimental about going on his first American road trip. Like, because that's like a thing British people come to the U.S. to do a U.S. road trip. And so they were driving from Chicago to South Bend, which is not really a road trip. It's an hour and a half. But to Will Ospreay, it was a road trip. And they stopped for gas in the parking lot of a Walmart. It was the first time Will Ospreay had ever seen a Walmart. And so they go into the Walmart, and Will Ospreay is like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory or Dorothy and Oz. He's like, an American Walmart. And they go to, Will Ospreay orders a sandwich at the Subway inside the Walmart. And they're like, we're sorry, the toaster's broken. We can't toast your sandwich. And Ospreay's like, we're in a Walmart. There's 100 toasters on aisle 6. From aisle 6 and toast the sandwiches? And
I mean,
that's not how it works.
He makes sense, right?
Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's right.
It sounds like Will Ospreay's an awesome human being.
Yes. As is Swerve, as is Lance Archer, as is Brian Cage. All right, here, I'll do one more. Brian Cage's tradition at Warrior Wrestling all through his time as champ is he got his victory pizza. So Brian Cage, as you've ever seen him, is a large man, full of protein, as you can imagine. Right? He travels with a cooler literally of like thousands of calories of protein that he has to eat every 2 hours. Like it's insane. It's like a pound of cod, 3 chicken breasts, like sweet potatoes, whatever. And over the course of the day with him, he eats this whole cooler. It's unreal. So the dude obviously eats incredibly lean, lifts 1 million pounds of weights. He's jacked. But he gives himself a cheat day from time to time. And he always gave himself a cheat day after a Warrior Wrestling show. We would order him a different Chicago area chain deep dish pizza. And he would eat the whole pizza by himself after a Warrior title defense. Yes. A whole Lou Malnati's, a whole Gino's East, a whole Giordano, a whole Pizzeria Uno. And he was doing like a taste test over the years of like what his favorite Chicago deep dish pizza was.
Do you know his favorite?
A whole one. He liked Giordano's.
Oh.
Yeah, well, yeah, good choice.
I'm a Lou's
He
guy.
eventually got Pequod's later on, but Giordano's was his favorite.
Well, what's your favorite now that we're on that topic?
I'm a Lou's guy for deep dish. I like the tomatoes. I think the tomatoes are fresh. A Lou pizza tastes fresh. Giordano's is good, but it's a lot of cheese.
Cheese, yep.
Yes, that's what I
It's
need.
a lasagna, essentially. That's
Yeah.
what Giordano's. But they got the butter crust at Lou Malnati's. Oh,
It's the crust and the tomatoes at Lou's. Unbeatable.
they just came out with a buffalo chicken pizza. Like,
I
what?
saw the video.
We need to find that.
Yeah,
After
well,
we eat our skyline.
You know they did an Italian beef. Lou Malnati's and Portillo's combined Italian beef pizza like a year ago. And
I had it.
Did I die? Am I in heaven?
Portillo's is the best because they literally have everything.
I went to Portillo's like Monday. Like we're talking Cubs, we're talking Portillo's. This is the most Chicago coded podcast we've ever done.
We are very Chicago over here, so it's very fitting. Jordan asked, though, Steve, when are you running it back in the Chicagoland area?
Got a couple of possibilities in the hopper. I'm talking to a few different places. Nothing is signed, sealed, and delivered yet, but maybe as early as this summer. Just depends on if a few things hit.
I'll tell you what, there's a brewery, and I know Crown Point's not a huge city, but people have ran in Crown Point before.
Oh, yeah.
I will talk to you off air. I think there is an opportunity because I do sell booze for a living. That's the real life gimmick. So I might have a few
professionally
connections.
or like out of the back of your trunk.
Yeah, both.
Depends.
If you go to the back of my trunk, Ian can confirm.
There will be
full of
booze.
alcohol.
A
Yeah,
lot of booze. Oh, yeah.
Free samples for days over here. So I'm not going to be bringing those to Cincinnati. So I'm sorry to the fans that are going to be there tomorrow. But
we're going to drink Rhinegeist. But yeah, let's talk Crown Point, because obviously Black Label has run there very successfully over the years. And I love Crown Point, right? I lived in Munster for a few years. I got family out that way. Like I used to go to lunch and hang out in Crown Point. And so if we could do a show in Crown Point, that'd be thrilling.
Those are my people over here. We got options. And I was just in Munster today, too. I was at the old D-Locks liquor store over there.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you know that area. But, Ian, any final questions before we sign off here?
I'll end off on a funny note, I guess. I really hope this question hits. If it doesn't, it's going to be kind of awkward. You got to be really damn good at WWE 2K, my GM, right?
I have never played it.
Oh,
never.
No video games ever?
So my video game life ended with the Sega Dreamcast.
Oh boy.
That was like, I just stopped playing. Like I'm not against video games, right? I got buddies that are huge gamers, but like I just got into doing other stuff, and games got so complicated. Like I can't remember the first time I was like hanging out with a friend in like college or high school, and they were playing Halo. And it was like a PS3 or something, whatever. They're like, all right, this does this, this does this. They went through all the things. I was like, no, like just not. You play, I'll watch. Like I'll
Not
play Sonic, I'll play
get that.
Turtles in Time, I'll play whatever, Mortal Kombat. But no, so I never was a WWE 2K guy.
Oh man.
I'm
That's
sorry.
fair.
It's all right.
It's
It's
all
all
right.
right.
That's how we get our fix. We play video games. You just do it in real life. There's
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah.
There's levels to it. We are not the same.
Yeah, human video games, right? Or human. I always tell
You
people,
are.
like, I play with action figures for a living, and they're professional, real human people.
Ain't that the coolest?
It's
That you get to see on TV most likely every week as well?
Yeah,
Also
when I
pretty
text,
cool.
and I'm always texting with like, so like I know all these guys. I've worked with them for years. Like anytime there's something unique or cool going on with any of the guys, like like it was Will's birthday yesterday for Dynamite. I texted with Will. It's really cool to see people that we know, that we have worked with, that are so good at what they do and such good human beings achieve at such a high level, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, I didn't have any. All I did was like give them one small of 1,000 platforms they've had. It's just cool to like know them and see their journey.
Yeah, well said. But tomorrow night, live in Cincinnati, Ohio, Rumble at Rhinegeist. Steve, give me your final statement. What are they going to expect, or what should they expect, I should ask, tomorrow night?
Pandemonium. Just crazy pro wrestling packed into a tap room. If you've not been to either of the other two, go watch the videos on our YouTube from Revolution or from Lakefront. We show up to have a party, and we hope you're showing up for the same reason.
That's exactly why we're showing up. And if you would like, I will buy you a beer, but I know you probably don't want to drink on the job. But
You know what?
Offers on the table.
Once the final bell rings, I'll happily have a beer.
I got you, sir. That's me paying back to you for giving us your time and talking about your wonderful company that you got at Pro Wrestling Ventures. So thank you.
So I love coming on with you guys anytime you would like me to drop in at any wrestling subject. I'm happy to.
You know what? I know we talked about that too last time. We need to set up just us talking about TV wrestling one time.
Yeah.
Hey, SummerSlam's coming up. I'm just saying. It's coming up soon.
Ooh.
Where
Could do a
is
little
it?
SummerSlam?
Where is it?
Actually,
Jersey?
where is it?
It's in Jersey. I'm going to be there.
Is it?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to SummerSlam. So, hey, if you want to run a show out there, I'll help you out, buddy.
Man, there's a bunch of regulations in Jersey, I think.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like,
We
I
don't
don't know.
want
That's
that.
like, it's like Missouri. Oh my God. Like when we ran St. Louis, we ran the Illinois side. To run in Missouri, oof. Like God bless the House of Glory and all the guys that run in Missouri. God bless them. Because it's just a ton of hoops to jump through.
Ew, I didn't know that. And apparently there's some hoops with Indiana, right? With blood? Because GCW didn't run a bloody show when I was there in Indy.
I didn't know.
Maybe they
any-
just did.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've never followed any different laws in Indiana.
Oh, sorry. I'm not trying to get them in trouble. Let's get them out of here before we get them in trouble. So, Steve, once again, thank you so
guys.
much. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you soon. Bye,
See
everybody.
you, Steve.
See you, Steve.
So there we are towards the end of episode 245. An excellent conversation as always with our friend Steve. This, we always say this, like we don't get excited early on in the week, but once we talk about something, that's when the excitement kicks in. I'm currently at a 12 out of 10. I don't know about you.
Dude, I have to go to Bloomington tomorrow in the morning and be there at like 7 a.m. And that already sounds bad. And now I have to be excited about tomorrow night and go to Bloomington for work. Oh my gosh, I am just so. Is it? It's not. Friday.
It's not Friday yet, and Henry said, "Thank God he's gone." I can't wait to see him tomorrow. We might have to rub heads together or something, create a viral moment. Who knows? Pause. Yeah, wait, pause. Don't clip that one, Henry.
Easy now.
Don't clip that one. This is what happens once we get past the hour mark of OTM. So you better subscribe for more unhinged OTM content because we are on the road to 500 subscribers, Ian, and I think we gained a career high in 27 subscribers last month. So thank you, everybody that subscribed.
Yeah, like Steve has been saying, he does it because he loves wrestling, and we do this podcast because we love wrestling. We were talking about it earlier. Every single Thursday, we come on here live. It doesn't seem like a lot, but every single week is extremely fun to be on this podcast, and just the fact that we could have Steve on this podcast and have a good chat just about professional wrestling, it's such a good time to be a wrestling fan.
It is a great time to be a pro wrestling fan, Ian, and if you want to be a part of a positive pro wrestling community here at OTM, you're safe with us. Here at the Main Event Wrestling Network, that is the best group of talent. I'm not even making this up just because I run the network. I'm telling you, we have those genuine people that, like Steve said, you want to work with. And that's why things succeed at the Main Event Wrestling Network. So make sure you're following us on all of our socials. It is on the screen right now. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more main event moves. Ian, I'm going to ask you this question before we go. Should we give out an MVM tonight or no, because it technically was an interview episode?
That is the thing. We did make a rule that if it was any interview at all, we do not give out an MVM.
So we'll keep it.
We will keep it, and I believe we did have the man who retains the title in all technicalities, and that would be the Great Brown Hope.
Oh, it would be the Great Brown Hope.
Yes, he popped in very early saying defending MVM in the house, so...
Good catch, because I didn't know that either. But hey, there's 222 people watching live right now. Thank every last one of you for hanging out with us tonight. We will see you tomorrow night in Cincinnati, Ohio. And thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.